Hi friends, and welcome back to my besties. Love you. Subscribe to join the bestie cult. This video is about how I am realizing I might have been wrong about contemporary art. Last week's video was titled, I Hate Modern Art, because, okay, first of all, it has come to my attention that I was referring to contemporary art as modern art, so thank you to everyone who brought that to my attention. I also wanted to clarify that the reason I was referring to modern art as I was referring to it as modern art is because I had watched a video by Serpex Nessie Art titled Why I Hate Modern Art, and the points that they had made in that video are what inspired me to make my own video. So that's why I was like I just thought that it was called modern art. Secondly, I wanted to thank everyone who shared their opinions on that video and commented and actually created a discussion from that video, because that was the whole point of me making that video. And third, I'm realizing that I was not even referring to contemporary art in that video. Correct me if I'm wrong, but contemporary art is a very broad term from my understanding now after doing a little bit of research. It encompasses all of the art that has been made from 1970 onward, which is not at all what I was referring to. What I think the best way to describe what I am referring to is the overpriced abstract pieces that are clearly created very without intention or just kind of half-assed, but in this video I'm going to get into more of why I might actually appreciate the abstract art now because I watched a video. So I think the message I was initially trying to get across in that video was that I hate the abstract art that has clearly had no effort put into it whatsoever, yet receives more recognition than some of the other more impressive artworks. For example, this is the example that I kind of thought of. It's kind of like in the music industry, there are so many talented artists and bands that don't receive the recognition they deserve simply because they don't have the same connections as some of the other artists who grew bigger much faster. And I know that's kind of an iffy comparison, but I think it kind of relates. Like, there are certain music artists who have their music written for them, or they just make something that like they don't actually put that much effort into, but then that might even become one of their more popular songs. Think of like Lil Pump when he came out with, what was that song with Kanye? He came out with some song, or like 6ix9ine, his music was interesting. Anyways, throwback to 2016. The other thing that I'm also realizing is this comparison to music versus visual art. Defining an artwork or musical piece's value based on the effort that was put into creating it, or the technical skills that were involved in creating it, or the meaning of said artwork or song is completely invalid, because when you think about it, like with music, it's hard to like be like, oh well, they put more effort into their writing their song, so that means that their song is better or has more value. Or like there's a lot of songs that don't even have any meaning. Like think of Nirvana, for example. A lot of their music, like for example, I personally enjoy it, but a lot of their songs don't actually mean anything. They're just saying words. Kurt Cobain has said in multiple interviews, like, people try to find meaning from their lyrics, but a lot of the time, like, he just says random shit. Anywho, basically what I'm trying to say is this is a reminder as well in comparing visual art to music, is that the effort or time that was put into said artwork or song does not define its value or make it worth more if there was more effort put into it. Also, yeah, I talk more later on in this video about how like different people resonate with different artworks, etc. No matter what the value, quote unquote, of the artwork is. My point is, I think I started talking about what makes art, like what makes good art and bad art at one point in that video, which I don't think I have the right to no, I know I don't have the right to decide that, especially considering my lack of education in art compared to most other artists that are creating content on the internet. Also, art is subjective, obviously, as is music, as is many other stuffs. So I don't think I had the right to say that there are certain things that differentiate good art from bad art. Now that I've clarified all of that, I just wanted to thank Mel Army 1605, who commented recommending me to watch this video by Jacob Geller, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, about contemporary art. He talks about, I'll put the link in the description. He talks about, he starts off the video talking about this one art piece called Who's Afraid of Red, Yellow, and Blue? And the painting was just, I'll insert a photo. It's just like red, and then there's like a strip of yellow and a strip of blue. And looking at that, I'm like, okay, why the fuck is that in a museum? Like that was my opinion before. I was like, okay, that's like stupid. That's like so easy to make, right? And I was thinking about the effort that it takes to create an art piece is what determines its value. That was my opinion before. But while I was watching the video, essentially what happens is somebody slashes the painting, and it just, that's the end of that painting. It dies. They tried to recreate it, but they couldn't. And while I was watching that, I felt hurt by the fact that someone had ruined this painting, even if it was abstract and some might say unimpressive or lacked any visual interest. But my reaction to this unimpressive abstract painting getting ruined made me realize that it doesn't matter how technically impressive an artwork is, or the amount of time that has been put into it, or the amount of effort. It has value. If an artist has taken the time to create something, it has value. Because the fact that I felt hurt by the fact that someone had ruined this, like, what I had thought was supposedly unimportant. Sorry, I heard the cops. I was like, someone had ruined this supposedly unimpressive abstract artwork. I realized, wait, like, why do I care? So that was the start of me sort of reconsidering my opinions on abstract art. And some might argue that certain artworks receive much more recognition than they deserve. But as I've mentioned, it is all about connections and reputation, which is unfair and unlucky, but I guess that's just how the world works. So yeah, I felt very stupid that my opinion was changed in the first 2 minutes of watching this video. Or not that it was completely changed, but that I had been reconsidering my opinion already. But there we were. So I continued watching. The argument, so he discusses the argument that good art comes from the amount of time and effort put into a piece. And that was my belief before, I think. But he talks a lot about how everyone experiences art differently, no matter how long an artist has worked on a piece or how much skill was required to create that piece. There is always going to be someone who feels something when looking at said piece. And there is always going to be someone who feels nothing when looking at said piece. Same as music. Some people love a song and some people hate that same song. The quality of the song itself doesn't really matter because it was created by an artist. And obviously not all artists create things in hopes that it resonates with someone, but they put it out there in hopes that people will hear it and relate to them or enjoy that artwork that art that they have created. Or even just that this song that this artist has created makes someone feel some sort of way. Another argument is that good art has to contribute something to society. Good art. I wasn't really a part of that belief before, but I was a believer that art should tell some sort of story or relate to the human experience in some way. But in his video, he made a very good point that I hadn't really considered before. He talks about how all of the traditional modern art, like actually modern art, that was created before and partly during the 1800s was created by white men who all had similar lifestyles, and as a result, the artwork they all created was similar to a degree. And because of that, something feels natural about those artworks, and they are normalized in our minds as the standard. So when something strays from that, I think this was, at least for me, I was like, wait, like maybe that's why, because I do like modern art. I like all of the different isms, like expressionism, impressionism, pointillism, those isms. I think they're cool, but that's the thing. That's what I was taught in high school, at least. And in my mind, that was what art is. But all of that art was created by the same type of person. And so I think that in my mind, in some way, looking at newer contemporary art that is like more abstract or strays from that traditional way of painting, I didn't find it impressive, or I didn't find it appealing. And he talks about like fascism, which I'm not educated on that, so I'm not going to talk about that, but you can check out his video. I linked it in the description, but after watching this video, stay, don't leave, bestie, please. He talks about like the Nazis. They had like art galleries for ugly art. And he basically makes the point that like if art was meant to be hidden away, then they wouldn't, or like this ugly art, like if they didn't want to see it and they actually found it dangerous, then they would have hidden it away. But they wanted to look at it and they wanted to laugh at it. So it served some purpose anyways, and it's not harmful, I think is what he was trying to say. And therefore, this contemporary abstract art is also not harmful. And so why should it not exist? Like, it's still like some form of art. Basically, that was the longest way that I could have said that not all art has to be beautiful. And that was kind of something that I had believed before, was that art is meant to be aesthetic. So yeah, essentially when art has been created that strays from that standard, some people may have a hard time appreciating it or understanding it, and therefore having trouble seeing its value or purpose. And I believe I may have been in that boat. After watching this video, I think I can appreciate the abstract contemporary art that I felt before seemed easy to create / required no effort. And I realize now it doesn't matter if it was easy to create or required no effort to create that, like some artwork. If I look at a piece and I resonate with it, or it makes me feel a certain way, I can appreciate it. And same goes for others. And if that isn't the case, that's fine too. I don't have to like every single artwork I see, and neither do you. I highly recommend watching this video if you're interested. And thank you again to, I believe it was Melarmy, some number combination at the end. Melarmy 1605. So now the fun part of the video, we're gonna read the comments from the last video, because there were some comments that really made me laugh. And as I mentioned, I wanted that video to be a discussion, so I want to continue the discussion here. I'm back. It's a new day. Yes, that's why I look different. Also, these are bleach stains, not anything else. So this sweater is clean. Don't comment on it. We're back to read some comments. So exciting. I've collected some comments. There were quite a few comments on that video, so I just picked a few that stood out to me that I think I have something to say about, or just that I wanted to share with you guys. So, here's the first comment we've got from Lothrien. I hate so much when people talk about modern art and use their own inability to understand it as an argument against it. You are so born into your world of things that you can't even grasp the concept of a value outside of a thing. And the moment something breaks this internalized conception of the world, you don't even think twice. You just hate it because you don't understand it. Modern art isn't about the thing you are looking at, it's about the context it was made in. It's a progression of the artist and art as a form of existence in itself. To look at an artwork without its context and without knowing about the artist that made it is meaningless. So, as I mentioned earlier, yes, I am of the opinion that, well, before I was of the opinion that if you need to explain an artwork, then it's not doing a good job of being art that is valuable, is what I was saying in my previous video, I think. But after watching Jacob Geller's video, my opinion is now different. I do agree that some artworks, when you know the history behind it, it becomes more impressive and can, be cooler art. I think a better way to say this is that the artwork can become enhanced by its explanation, so it has the ability to convey more of a message or just overall be a cooler artwork based on whatever explanation is associated with it. And then as well, the first point with you are so born into your world of things that you can't even grasp the concept of a value outside of a thing, blah, blah, blah. The moment they say you just hate it because you don't understand it. I think that's where a lot of people get their opinions from, is based on their experiences and perceptions of the world and being closed-minded to learning new perspectives. So yes, very valid point. You are definitely right that I was uneducated on this topic before making that video, which is, I should have done more research before making that video, and I think moving forward, the content that I put out is not going to be even, I shouldn't have even made that video. I genuinely thought that everyone felt the same way about abstract art. I wanted to hear other people's opinions as well. I wasn't sure, obviously, and that's the whole reason that I created that video. But yeah, I wasn't expecting so many contrasting opinions. Thanks again to everyone who shared their opinions. But if I ever do make a video about something art history related in the future, I will 100% do more research, because I think I misspoke on a lot of things in that video. Tuna Hani Ilmazdev says, you don't get to define art, LMAO. I don't know what the LMAO is for, because you're completely right. I don't know why I started talking about what makes good versus bad art in that video. I don't know where the fuck that came from. I should not have been saying that. Yeah. But also, the whole reason of me making that video was just to share my opinion. That's what most of my videos are, is just sharing my opinion and wanting to see what you guys have to say in regards to what I'm saying, and we can have a little discussion. Days in Vogue says, why would you post a video criticizing modern art that adds absolutely nothing to its discourse? I cannot tell if this is poorly written rage bait or the consequence of growing into art through fandom. Do better. The reason I posted the video was just to see what other people's opinions were and to share my opinion on it. And I hadn't really explored that many other videos about it or heard that many other opinions about it, because as I said, I'm in school for engineering, not art. So I haven't really learned much about art history, and I haven't heard that many other opinions about it. It definitely was a poorly written video. I should have done more research, as I've mentioned. And yes, I will try my best to do better. Another thing they mentioned was growing into art through fandom. That's actually exactly what I did. That's exactly why I create fan art, and I have been doing that ever since I was 4 or 5 years old, which when I was that age, I was also creating fan art or some form of fan art. And obviously I've gone in and out of phases of creating fan art or creating original art or trying out different mediums, etc. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong getting into art through fandoms. I just think maybe it's led to me being a little bit uneducated on some of the historical topics of art or political topics of art. But other than that, yeah, if you yourself, if you as the viewer right now are listening to this video or watching this video, and you are someone who has gotten into art because of a fandom or because of, creating fan art, whatever, don't feel like you're not an official artist because of that, or you're not a real artist, quote unquote. I think that no matter where you're coming from in terms of how you've gotten into art, you are an artist no matter what you're creating. So, and I know in that video, that's ironic for me to say now, because in that video I was saying that abstract contemporary art is not real art, or it's not valid art, but that's, as I've mentioned many times in this video, that was completely wrong of me to say. I think all art deserves to exist, and I get more into that later on in this video, so I'm going to shut up now because I don't want to keep being repetitive. The next comment is from Calaverius, who says, there's a reason why art history is a thing. If you took one semester of art history, most of your points and questions would be addressed, unless you're one of the millions of people who think there's nothing to learn about art. And if you do learn about art and talk about it, you're pretentious. Art is a really complex subject. There is so much to learn about if you're interested. At the end of the day, everyone experiences art in their own way, and that's totally valid, but just know there are answers to all your questions that make sense. I definitely am interested in learning more about art history. However, I don't think I will get that opportunity unless I seek out credible sources myself to learn about it. As I mentioned, going forward, I definitely won't really be making any videos related to art history because this experience has made me realize I'm extremely uneducated on that topic, and I don't think I should be. Like, I genuinely thought I knew what modern art was, and I thought that I understood it, but apparently I don't. And I thought, yeah, I was referring to contemporary art as modern art, and contemporary art is a much broader term than I originally thought it was. And yeah, it's essentially, you get my point. I will not be making art history videos moving forward, or anything related to art topics that I am not educated on. However, the reason I made that video is because I thought I was educated on that topic. Summary, no bad art videos, period. Rem or Remy says, every time I watch a video like this, I hope to hear a new argument, but nope. Still the same rhetoric used by fascists from 100 years ago to censor undesirable art. I don't know why I keep expecting things to be different. Yeah, you're definitely right in that. I didn't even realize that that's where my opinions for the art that I find appealing come from, like this fascist idea of, like, you know, how I mentioned earlier with a lot of the art that was created way back in the day, like pre-contemporary art, was created by the same type of person, and that's the sort of art that was pushed as standard art and etc. But yeah, I've learned and I've grown. Zorro the Slayer says, I agree with a lot of your points, but unfortunately a lot of artists who have brainwashed themselves into acceptance would argue against you. I once went to a modern art museum with my art class, and quite literally there was a toilet inside a glass box, or maybe it was a urinal. But what type of rubbish is that? Me and a friend literally spent the last hour or two sitting on chairs taking turns on Subway Surfers because there wasn't anything of value in that gallery. See, this is an example of everyone perceives art differently, and maybe somebody who was at that gallery looked at that toilet in the glass box and was like, wow, that's really fascinating, and resonated with it, or whatever. You know, everyone experiences art differently. That's why all art should be accepted and everyone can be happy. Heal the world, make it a better place. Okay. J. Nathan Shia, oh my god, I can't read, says, holy smokes, I haven't seen such a split comment section since religious videos. When I read that, I actually laughed. So thank you for making me laugh amongst all the contrasting opinions. That's the word I was looking for. The final comment I am going to look at is from Chicken Spy 1854, who says, the history of art is very complicated and nuanced, and without that context, it's really difficult to dissect how we got to where we are. Those out of the loop are free to interpret how they want, but to ask why means a need to understand the context. What? Oh, okay. But to ask why means you need to understand the context. Contemporary art is indeed taking advantage of where we are in art history, but that is a result of many, many years of evolving meaning of art. And I think that's the real answer here. Contemporary art is a result of the evolution of art, and I think we got here due to a pivotal moment when a few Frenchmen decided that the Art Academy didn't know shit about modern, lowercase, taste. They decided to redefine what art is because at the time of artists and collectors were a bunch of prudes that were gatekeeping what was and wasn't art. Step forward a few moments and you have multiple branches of evolution from the Impressionists, including Cubism, Dadaism, correct me if I said that wrong, ready-mades, all of which were attempting to create art that wasn't what we classically considered art. As you said, pushing the boundaries. Move forward more and you get a movement like pop art that had a use case of accessibility or even graffiti, which was a practice of non-accessibility. Not to say that contemporary art isn't highly derivative and pandering. I am an artist and I will say a lot of us do abstract art because it's easy technically and it is what's popular. But damn, is it hard to conceptualize an idea, abstractify it, then create value out of it with just a few strokes. There's a complexity in creating simple forms. It's why logo designers are paid much higher than any other kind of designer. Conveying a wealth of information in such a minimalistic way is not easy, but more so on the context of contemporary art, it's artists trying new things and seeing what sticks. It's creativity on the bleeding edge of art. Most of it is shit, but the few that do break the mold get noticed and get bought for a lot of money. And all the rest of us say, I could have done that, and yet we didn't. I think you worded that extremely well. I think I was kind of, in my first video, I was kind of making fun of this idea of like pushing boundaries and that's like, it's just a scam. Like you're just putting paint strokes on a canvas and calling it art, even though I didn't really see its value at the time. But I think you're right. I think that there are definitely artists who, even the artists who don't put the effort into actually abstractifying some sort of idea and conveying it through like in a minimalistic way, as you said, that the art that they create from that will resonate with someone and will be impressive to someone. And that's all really that matters, is that art is made to be seen, right? And art is made to make people feel things, or, you know, with different intentions. Some art is made, whatever intention was put into creating an art piece. I think what defines successful art is whatever intention the artist had in creating that art piece. If they achieved that, whether it was to make somebody feel something, or just to be aesthetically pleasing, or just to exist to push boundaries, or just to be ridiculous or make people laugh, if they achieve that, then I think that's what makes that art piece successful. So yeah, that's all I have for today's video. I really hope that you... Hold on, I'm going to check that I'm still recording. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that anybody who heard my opinion in the first video and was like, what the fuck is this girl saying? I hope that I have recovered your respect, and I acknowledge that I was definitely uneducated in creating that video. I hope that if you found me annoying in the first video that I created, you now find me a little less annoying. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to everyone who shared their opinions in a kind and respectful way and didn't, you know, make fun of me too much for my uneducated dog shit ass opinions. But it's fine, you know, we live and we learn, and that's why I created the videos, because I wanted to hear your opinions. So yeah, I guess that's everything for today. Comment your thoughts. Comment if I changed your opinion about contemporary art. If you didn't even watch my last video and you're just watching this one and you're like, what the fuck is this girl talking about? You know, you can go watch that one if you want, the one that I made about modern art, but you might want to cry. That's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching, and share this with your close-minded artist friends. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.